Emma, my good friend here. If you haven't heard of Emma or you don't know of Emma, is a registered nutritionist. She's a Sunday Times best-selling author and one of the most trusted voices in the industry when it comes through to cutting through the nutrition confusion. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend, but she's my go-to. She's built a huge following thanks to her straight-talking, no-nonsense approach to healthy eating. And she's less about apple cider vinegar and green powders and more about helping people make food choices that they can actually work into their daily life.
Too right.
She's the author of 3 best-selling books. Well, 2 of them, because one of them is only just out, but it will be. We have the 30-gram plan, the Fibre Effect, and her current book, which is launched how long ago? Last week. The 30-gram plan cookbook, which we all can't wait for, because all of us were using the recipes in the original book and just wanting to see what they looked like when she made them in colour.
You were one of my recipe developers.
I was a tester. She's on a mission to make fibre everybody's new favourite F word. She has recently appeared in Vogue, no less, making that F word fashionable.
Finally.
And all of this makes her the ideal guest for Leon's Superfood Sanctuary and the relaunch of the Superfood Salad. And the reason is, it is packed with all the F superfoods that you love to talk about. And you are always encouraging people to eat more fibre. And you'll find out why. I found out why. You'll find out why, hopefully, during this talk. So today we'll be chatting through all things fibre, gut health, food myths, fart walks, and small changes that can make a really big difference in our lives. And we're hoping we might get time for questions, but I doubt it, but we will try.
We can squeeze a few in, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to kick off, and I'm going to shut up now. Why does fibre have such a terrible PR team compared to protein? Everyone talks about protein, don't they?
They really do. Thanks. That was a lovely intro, by the way. Yeah, it's all about protein, isn't it? There's protein water, there's protein popcorn. It really has had like an incredible kind of makeover, a glow up. And I think fibre is very much lagging behind. And I think there's lots of reasons why, but I think the main one is that we associate protein with aesthetics, it's performance, it's you kind of gym bro, it's all about rippling muscles. So, it's kind of got that sexy allure, whereas fibre, I probably shouldn't be saying this as somebody's nailing their superfood salad.
We're actually very impressed.
Fibre is associated, we can't get beyond it, it's associated with poo and constipation.
And bloating.
Yeah, and bloating and gas and wind and farts and all of these things.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, let it all out. We're going to be talking about that.
Not here, ideally.
Yeah, not collectively, for God's sake. No naked flames. But yeah, fibre definitely is in need of this kind of glow up. And that's why in my first book, actually, I talked about protein and fibre, and it went stratospheric. It was a Sunday Times bestseller. My second book, actually being really open with you, is called The Fibre Effect. And it has been a really hard sell, I'm not going to lie. And I think people just don't want to go into the kind of nitty-gritty of fibre.
Exactly. But can eating more fibre actually genuinely help the food noise?
Yeah. So I think actually, there's only 4% of us in the UK are getting our 30 grams of fibre a day, interestingly. And women, we're predominantly women here, women are worse than men. And I think it's this kind of association that fibre has with carbohydrates. And we've still got this massive fear, haven't we, of carbs. And I'm hoping that this is going to kind of dissipate, but it's been lingering for, a long time now. But yeah, fibre equals carbohydrates, and they fill you up.
But there are good carbohydrates.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we need to know.
We're not talking croissants and cake and biscuits here, sadly.
Oh, shame.
I know. Exactly.
And pastries.
Sorry. But fibre is bulky. It actually takes up quite a lot of room in your stomach, which makes you feel, satiated. It leaves you feeling kind of nice and content.
And full.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it has what we call this kind of second meal effect, which is really interesting. So particularly if you front load fibre, so if you're eating it kind of early on in the day, particularly like breakfast, it takes a while to kind of move all the way through your gut, and then it starts to get fermented by your gut microbes, which you've all, heard about. So I'm not going to go into those too much. But then they start feasting on this fibre, and then they release these kind of compounds called short chain fatty acids, which then dial down appetite and hunger and all of those kind of improve your satiety hormones. So yeah, it really does help, particularly if you're, looking to manage weight and things like that.
A lot of us are, sadly.
I know, we are.
It's the
We can't
truth,
get beyond
isn't
it.
I hear you're a big fan of masticating. Does anyone know what masticating is? Yeah. So, can you talk to us about its role in eating more fibre?
Yeah, so, we should all be masticating throughout the day, 3 times a day minimum, right? So if there's anything that you leave today with, it's that in your mind, because we need to remember that fibre, like I said, is quite bulky. It's quite hard to break down, and you don't have teeth in your stomach, right? So the first part of the digestion process actually is that kind of breaking down by chewing, and most of us. Sorry.
Do you have a number?
Well,
some people
yeah.
count them, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's really laborious, personally. But it is worth, I think, just kind of tuning in and noticing how many chews you take, and then just trying to kind of increase it. I would say 20. Some people say 30. For me, I don't really practice what I preach. I wolf food down, pretty...
Or you wear it.
Yeah. I spilled my green smoothie earlier all over my jeans. But yeah, just trying to kind of break that down initially really helps with the bloating and all of those things that we kind of associate.
Yeah. So what's the weirdest thing that fibre influences in the body that we might not know about?
I wouldn't say it's weird, but I think there's this real kind of emerging evidence to show that it can potentially help to excrete things like microplastics, which is headline news all the time. People are saying, you've got a credit card size amount of microplastics kind of circulating. There's a bit of a question mark over that, to be fair. I think there's quite a lot of scaremongering, but fibre it soaks things up and it helps to kind of excrete potentially microplastics, but also things like hormones. It's also really anti-inflammatory, so it can help with things like skin health. So, anybody who's got things like psoriasis, acne even, eczema, potentially fibre could help.
That's really interesting. Should we come on to poo?
Yes.
So, without going into too much detail, what can our poo genuinely tell us about our diet?
Thankfully you stopped eating now. What can it tell us about our diet? I think it can tell us a lot. I am a big fan, you will find in my books, of something called the Bristol Stool Chart.
When I first met Emma, by the way, I found out about the Bristol Stool Chart, and I swear by it. It's amazing. Because if you've got slightly upset tummy, you can actually look at it, refer to it, and decide what's going wrong. Sorry.
It's like a vital sign, right? Like a fifth vital sign.
Yeah.
How many vital signs are there? Anyway, it's an extra one. I think, I'm all about kind of removing the taboo from poo. And the Bristol Stool Chart actually is this kind of diagram. It's almost like a diagnostic diagram that healthcare practitioners use to show you what a healthy poo should look like. So it goes from 1 to 7. 1 is like little tiny pellets, you're pretty constipated. 7 is completely the opposite end, so very watery. And we're kind of aiming for a 3 or a 4. So smooth, sausage-like, it might have a few cracks
Not
in
too
it.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to push out. It's a conquer.
It should just slip out, shouldn't it, really?
Ideally.
The reason I'm saying that is actually, I'm talking from experience, because when I was testing Emma's fibre recipes, honestly, I had the best poo, and I honestly think she changed my life.
There is nothing like a good poo. So I talk, in the book, I talk about poo-phoria, this kind of euphoric feeling when you do a really nice big poo that you don't have to kind of struggle over, and then you kind of it almost sets you up for the day, right? You're feeling really light.
You feel really light. That's when you get on the scales.
You do.
So I do anyway. Sorry.
And that's what we're all aiming for, So plenty of water. getting your knees up higher than your hips, ideally using a stool or, whatever, maybe a couple of toilet rolls. Whatever it takes.
Heels.
You can, yes, with stacked heels. It can help to eliminate and kind of evacuate really nicely.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. We'll move a little bit on now. So why do people proudly hit their 120 grams of protein, but let's say only 12 grams of fibre because they're concentrating so much on this protein?
Yeah,
figure.
Exactly. I think, again, protein is really sexy, fibre isn't. I think also when people are kind of aiming for a lot of protein, sometimes it displaces the fibre. So it's almost because protein is really filling as well. So if you're filling up on protein, sometimes you haven't got a lot of room for the fibre, right? So it kind of it plays second fiddle almost. I guess that is generally the issue.
Yeah. So fibre maxing is a bit of a buzzword, isn't it, at the moment? Is there such thing as too much fibre?
There definitely is. We talk about 30 grams, don't we? The NHS advises 30 grams. Most of us aren't getting that. Most of us are only getting about 16 grams a day. As I said, women are worse than men. But I would say, actually, you don't need to cap it at 30. If any of you are sitting here and thinking, well, actually, I'm nailing my 30 grams, there are plenty of benefits that are seen beyond the 30. So don't stop at 30. You can carry on. There are lots of tribes, like the Hadza tribe in Tanzania. They are linked observationally with some of the best kind of, the lowest incidences of chronic disease. They are getting like 150 grams a day.
Wow.
Now, don't obviously go from your 16 grams to 100 because you're going to know about it. But so always go, we'd say low and slow,
Well, I was going to ask
gradually.
what would happen if we doubled our fibre tomorrow.
We'd all be blowing off left, right and centre.
Nothing wrong with that though.
We would be doing a lot of far walks. But yeah, you need to really do it really gradually. I talk in the book about microdosing because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, I couldn't possibly eat beans because they really just don't, agree with me. Actually, they probably do. The farts and the kind of bloating and that the discomfort that sometimes comes with high fibre foods is actually just your microbes having a bit of a party down there.
I actually think I'm just going to agree with that because I always stayed away from beans and I introduced them again, and now that I'm okay with the wind, I just let it.
How's your husband feel about it?
We won't go there.
But absolutely, you gradually, incrementally build it up, and it's like a muscle, right? You wouldn't go into the gym and suddenly start deadlifting like 80 kgs. So equally, you don't want to go, from 16 to 30 grams of fibre in a day.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Are we overcomplicating our gut health when the answer is often just to eat more plants?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are a nation, particularly probably most of us who are probably on social media a lot, looking at the kind of next big shiny thing, the next probiotic, the next greens powder, the next kind of tincture that's always promising gut health. And gut health is a big kind of sexy topic right now. Actually, we need to get the foundations right. Yeah. And the foundations is simply eating more colour, more diversity, more variety of plants. You don't need to get these expensive microbiome tests. You don't actually, unless you've got some kind of gut symptoms, you actually don't need a probiotic. There's the evidence
that's
is
really
really
interesting,
quite
isn't
weak.
it, that one, because they are just so oversold to us. We're told we need those, and actually you can get them in your diet.
Yeah, absolutely. Live bacteria.
So what's your take on this 30 plants a week idea? Is that helpful?
Well, I did write a book about it.
But also, what I found interesting, when you say 30 plants a week, we all think like, carrots, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, but you can actually count garlic, ginger, onions, chilies.
Yeah. Nuts and seeds.
Coriander.
Yep. Every single different colour of so if you're buying peppers, you get red, yellow, green. Yeah. All of those count. Spices, herbs, olive oil, chocolate.
Olive oil.
Yeah, chocolate counts.
Dark.
Yeah,
Oh.
sadly. And it has to be kind of above 70%, which takes a bit of fun
Still-
out of it.
Still okay.
And coffee, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, matcha, there's probably some matcha girlies here. So all of these things count towards your 30.
Fabulous.
Also, don't forget, it is a guide. It's not the law.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone, we can all become really kind of obsessed, can't we, with tracking and counting and things like that. Don't become obsessive about it. Just think colour and diversity.
Yeah. But interestingly, when you put it like that, most of us are probably getting 20 to 30.
Oh my God,
Lots of
absolutely.
anyway.
If you
Yeah.
were to track, I think you'd probably be quite surprised. Like if you buy a bag of mixed seeds, you've got 6 or 7 there. Put a tablespoon on
Yeah.
your porridge in the morning, boom.
Yeah. I mean, the mixed seed jar is just the most brilliant tip because it can go on everything, can't it? Salads.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick it on your table, your dining room table, as a constant kind of reminder. Just use it liberally.
So what would be your 5 foods that you think are the fibre superstars?
So I think the goat of fibre is probably beans. It's the one that people are most scared of, but it's really cheap, it's really accessible, there's so much variety. You've got pinto beans, navy beans, butter beans, haricot, there's tons of them. I was going to say shitloads, but there's shitloads of beans. And I think that's accessible to most people. And they're also, you can blend them up into a hummus, you can roast them and put them on your soup or in a kind of salad. They're incredibly versatile. So yeah, beans, I would say chia seeds. I am a huge chia seed fan. I know they're a bit kind of Marmite, aren't they? You can actually grind them, which gets beyond that frog spawny kind of texture, which I think is quite helpful.
Yeah. They also get in your teeth, don't they?
They do. And as you get older, oh my God.
I was going to say at my age.
It's the
Didn't want to throw that in.
It's the receding gums.
Yeah.
So chia seeds, definitely. I would say I'm going to keep, really kind of practical and cheap because I think, wellness can become really kind of elitist. Peas, frozen peas. Bung them into anything, put them into, frittatas. I like to mash them with some avocado, put them on my toast.
Nice.
Actually, avocado would be up there if we're going to talk kind of a bit more wanky wellness. Not really, but
We're digressing on
it's just it's just maybe slightly, more of that kind of wellness thing. But half an avocado is 5 grams of fibre.
Oh wow.
Boom, that's a sixth of your daily kind
And it's
of
actually good
target.
fat as well, isn't it? 'Cause I know
Good what?
it's good fat.
Absolutely.
A lot of people steer clear because they think, oh my God, it's fattening, but actually it's good.
Oh my God, it's amazing. And it
Yeah.
tastes so good, right? So what am I up to? 3.
4.
I would say, have I got one more?
Beans, chia seeds, peas, and avocado. You've
Oh
done
my
4.
God, okay.
Wonderful.
So I would say berries.
Oh,
Particularly
nice.
the
Yeah.
kind of big hitters are raspberries and
Blueberry.
blackberries. Anything with those little tiny, it's almost like a seed, a kind of berry within a berry. All
Yes.
those little, they're called drupelets. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. So how will eating more fibre actually improve our energy levels?
Well, in so many ways, because it's got an anti-inflammatory effect. It fills you up, so you are less kind of snacky. You're not doing lots of, your cravings kind of go down. Your blood sugar level is a lot more mediated, so it's a lot more kind of level. So yeah, tons
Yeah.
of reasons actually.
And is that why people dramatically feel better when they introduce more fibre into their diets?
Yeah,
That's
honestly,
generally-
it really.
yeah.
I think the kind of interesting thing is that your gut microbes can change within 24 to 48 hours. So you're kind of obviously you're not
That was
aware
my
of
next
that.
question. How quickly
really?
will it respond? So yes.
Yeah. So very, very quickly. And I think it's really nice to know that even though you maybe can't see anything happening on the outside, inside, it's having all these kind of anti-inflammatory effects. And then I've totally forgotten what your question was.
Well, I've kind of merged 3 questions into one.
Go on.
But it was about how it can improve our energy levels and make us feel dramatically better. and then you just touched on how quickly it can actually change.
Yeah. So I think that the most important thing is that it regulates your blood sugar levels, and it keeps your mood really nice and steady as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will start, those benefits will start even though you can't see them, and then they will continue kind of after a few weeks. Your cholesterol might lower, it can impact things like your insulin sensitivity, your blood pressure, and then long term we're kind of looking at lower rates of lower rates of things like heart disease, lower rates of cancers. I mean, it really does.
Inflammation
tick
is the
every
cause
box.
of so many things, isn't it? Inflammation in the body. So anything for me, that's a big buzzword. When I hear something reduces inflammation,
Yeah,
I'm there.
I know exactly. It is. It's also kind of having a moment, isn't it? And people are looking at NAD like plus injections and these kind of
The drips.
super expensive drips and infusions. Whereas actually, it's like you just need to eat more beans.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, but we're all so averse to it, aren't we?
Yeah.
We want to spend shitloads of money on stuff.
Do we?
Do we?
Do we? No.
No, we don't want to. But I think we're kind of pulled towards it.
We're kind of made to believe that we ought to.
Yeah.
And that something's not going to work if it's not.
I think the issue is that it's quite compelling. You know, people are quite compelling when they're
All
selling
the
you
next
something.
best thing. Exactly. So moving on to hormones. So I mean, I'm talking about menopause symptoms. Probably where I'm sitting, there's maybe no one there is old enough.
Everyone's young.
Apart from a couple in the front row. I'll just pull out. So can fibre actually influence hormones?
Yes, it can, and this is, it's applicable to people who are, to fertility issues, to endometriosis, PCOS, absolutely, because of the anti-inflammatory effect that we've already talked about. Lots of women who have kind of issues with heavy periods and PCOS and endo kind of related issues. Actually, it can be really beneficial. And with kind of peri and post-menopause, we often find that we become a lot more sluggish. Things kind of start to, just be a bit, we digest things a lot slower.
Yeah.
So, it helps on that level as well.
Brilliant. I mean, I'm there. I'm sold. I'm going home to make every recipe.
Well, and they're nice and simple, right? There is nothing
and delicious.
exotic.
The ones I've made so far.
Chia seeds are probably as exotic as it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm all about kind of, things out of packets. Let's make things accessible. So, pre-cooked rice, I'm all for it. No, who can be
Pre-cooked
bothered?
quinoa.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
That
life
was what I
That's
was-
a life changer.
That was what I was going to say. Who can be bothered to kind of soak beans or quinoa and kind of boil it up? It never comes out right. It's always mushy.
Always.
Yeah. So we've got this kind of obsession, haven't we, with ultra-processed foods and steering clear of them. I mean, they're not particularly ultra-processed, but just make life easy for yourself. It's hard enough, right?
Yeah. Good advice, Emma. So, what's your most controversial fibre opinion?
Oh my God, controversial. I think it's probably, I hate to go back to poo, but I think it's probably just looking at your poo. In Europe, they have these kind of flat toilets where you do a poo and actually you can see what you've produced. Here, we just we're a bit squeamish,
We just
aren't
move
we?
on, don't we?
The Brits are, we're not so good at it. So
Yeah,
I would
so
say,
read it like your tea leaf, like you would your tea leaves. Read your poo.
I love that. What's it telling me?
Yeah.
It's telling you a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's your homework, everyone.
You don't need to come back to us with the results.
Send us pictures. I have had clients that send me pictures, honestly. Yeah.
But I mean, you should.
I'm like they're in
As
there.
long as they don't bring songs.
Nutritionist.
Anyway, moving on. If you could redesign the average British breakfast, what would it be?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Thanks.
I would say you don't have to overhaul what you're doing, then suddenly, start having this kind of high fibre breakfast. Do what you're already doing and add something in. So if it's porridge, add in some chia seeds, some berries, some mixed seeds. If it is toast with eggs, put some avocado in there, sprinkle over. You can actually sprinkle over ground flaxseed into, or not sprinkle over, but actually stir it into your eggs. It works really well.
Nice.
Yeah, like 1 to 2 teaspoons. You'll hardly even know it's there. Add some beans in, if you're having a burrito, stick some beans in there. You don't have to kind of reinvent the wheel.
Right, so just think of one more thing that we can add.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Think abundance. Don't think, we're always talking about kind of restricting, aren't we?
Yeah.
Think about, look at your plate, what can you add in?
Yeah, and I think the seeds on the dining table is such a brilliant tip because you can literally add them to anything, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not sure what to add.
And beans,
Seeds.
like I say, if you roast beans, they really come to life. You
Yeah.
can put soy sauce on, you can
Yeah.
put garlic
Nice.
granules. You can actually buy like roasted chickpeas now. Brave do a really kind of nice, so you can have it in your bag.
Lovely.
Yeah, there's so many options.
So for us today, we want to have one takeout. What would be the one thing that we could change about how we eat that would give us the biggest result, the biggest fibre win?
I think we've covered it already.
Probably
I
covered
think it's to add things in.
Yeah.
You don't overhaul everything. Just add in. Look at your plate. Could it do with a bit more colour, a bit more variety, a few more plants? You don't have to be vegan, but just make it a bit more kind of plant forward, a bit more plant centric.
Yeah.
That would be my thing.
I mean, you've given us some amazing tips. I think everyone can agree. Do we have any questions? I do think we have 5 minutes or so, don't we?
Great.
Anyone's? Natalie.
Brown versus white pasta and rice. Is it really much better for your fibre-wise? Is it not? Is it what?
Do you want it to be? I can see you going.
Yeah, sorry. Brown versus white pasta rice. I've got really into making sushi with brown sushi rice. Really into
How does
that.
it work?
It's good.
It takes like
It's
50
really
minutes
nice.
to cook. But is it that much better? Or am I kidding myself?
I wouldn't be averse to brown rice at all because it's what I do. But actually, interestingly, white versus brown, there isn't that much difference with rice. But when it comes to things like pasta, no, but you're getting more fibre, and it all kind of adds up, right? It's less processed. It's harder to break down. So yeah, definitely stick with it. I'm not telling you not to. But I think one of the biggest kind of easy swaps that you can make is like wholemeal pasta, or even they're doing like chickpea pasta now, red lentil pasta. You have to really keep it al dente, otherwise it kind of goes a bit mushy.
That's one of your recipes, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
yeah. Undercook it, but yeah, and if you've got kids or a partner who's a bit like, just do half and half. And then you kind of
They
become a
might
little
not
bit
notice
more.
though.
Yeah, exactly. You become more used to it. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for it. There's a really good brand called Explore Cuisine, and they do a mung bean and edamame, like a linguine, like pasta. It is so high in protein and so high in fibre. It's like a double whammy. It's quite expensive.
Can you make a note, please?
It's quite expensive, but you eat less of it because it's so filling. So yeah, that's one of my top
Love
tips.
Love that.
You will be farting. If you're not used to it though, you will be gassy AF, I'm telling you.
Actually, on the fart walks, I know you've probably got another question, but we didn't cover this because I was away with Emma last year on a work trip.
Farting away.
And she introduced me to fart walks. But some of you may have noticed that after you eat, if you go for a walk, you are a little bit windy. And this is actually a thing, and it's apparently really good for you, isn't it? To expel, because it's your digestion.
Exactly.
Better out than in, she says.
Absolutely. And it's really bad for you to hold in farts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You do like 20, I don't know about you, but you do 25, the average 25 to 30 farts a day.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you might know people that do
It's
more.
only 1 or 2 for me. I don't really fart.
Lavender infused.
My son used to tell me my farts smelled of roses.
I love him.
He wouldn't now, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I just. Hello? Yeah. Hi, I just had a question about fibre and bread, really. Is bread. I suppose my question is, you hear so much noise about UPFs, as you mentioned before, and you see a lot advertised about, supermarket bought bread which has got fibre loaded in it. Or is it better to make your own?
Can you make your own?
I mean, I will try. Yeah.
If you, yeah, I mean, if you can, at least you know what's in it, right? I've actually got a really nice bread in here that's happens to be gluten-free. I'm not like a gluten-free advocate, but you know, it speaks to the people who can't eat gluten. It's really high in fibre. I think it's like 9 grams per slice. You can freeze it, you can toast it. But to answer your question, I think, yeah, we are vilifying bread, aren't we? To the point where nobody wants to go into the supermarket and actually pick a loaf. There's so much, you know, so many great choices to be had. Ideally, if you are swapping from a white to a kind of a seeded, you know, sourdough, or even just a seeded brown loaf, you're making a really good, helpful swap. We don't have to be perfect. And I think sometimes we're trying to be so perfect and to the point where it prevents us from actually kind of progressing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think do what you can, but yeah, if you've got the energy, try the recipe in my book. It's really nice.
And this is why we all love Emma so much, because she's so no nonsense and telling us that we don't have to be perfect.
Well, and also it's like, it's what you eat the majority of the time that counts, right? So even if you were eating a white piece of toast, you know, once a day, to be honest, it's more about what you're eating over the kind of the long term that really matters.
Put avocado and seeds on that white toast and you're winning.
Exactly. It's all about balance, right?
I think it sounds like a superfood salad on toast.
Oh.
Just thought I'd slip that in there.
On that note,
You got the greens, you got the avocado, you got the seeds. It's
It
pretty
ticks a
sensational.
lot of boxes, right?
I
Does it
think
have
so.
the protein? Quinoa, right?
You can if you want chicken. Otherwise,
See-
you could have the
seeds-
quinoa version and the beans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is complete. You got the feta cheese. Pardon me.
better.
Delish.
Perfect.
Well, what can I say?
How was yours? Was it all right?
It's
Good.
fabulous.
Good, good.
It is fabulous. Now, any other questions, folks? We have some books of Emma's. Emma, would you like to sign them?
I would love to.
Correct answer.
I just got one question about the seeds.
Yes.
You're saying like is there obviously there's a chia seed? Are there other kind of like
You can buy
top
them
five
actually.
seeds?
You can buy them in packs in Waitrose. Or-
Mixed?
Yeah,
seeds?
mixed
In terms
seeds.
of mixed. Yeah. Just buy
Any old-
yeah, exactly. Tip them into a nice little kiln, a jar or something.
Yeah.
Looks nice on your table. Makes you feel a bit better about yourself.
And chia seeds you have to soak them, do you?
You do ideally. There's this huge thing about.
I
oh my
don't.
God, you can't eat. You can, but would need to drink quite a lot of water
So you
because
soak them
they
and then
swell.
put them in the yogurt or something?
I would put them in yogurt, add a little splash of milk, and then they kind of soak in the milk and the yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not good if I make a granola that I thought was really good and healthy, and I roast the chia seeds.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine.
Right.
It's absolutely
You're
fine.
just getting more goodness, I guess, if you grind them or.
If you were to
Soak.
nail, you know, a ton of them, there is a choking hazard because they can swell in your throat.
Oh.
But you'd have to be eating a lot.
She has to say that because you've got to be safe, right?
Well, yeah. But nobody's eating them dry off a spoon, right?
No. Yeah, I am. But with the granola,
She's a
there was
fibre
all
fanatic.
this- No, but I discovered a really.
She
nice
actually was a fibre fanatic
Really?
a while ago. I remember you going on about fibre.
Yeah,
Only
just
last year.
hydrate. It's like with anything. When you're increasing your fibre, you need to hydrate well because it acts like a sponge and it can kind of, you know, clog everything up. You need to keep things moving.
So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you coming to listen. Hope it's been useful.
Aw.
Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're wonderful.
Thanks.
Round of applause for Ms. Emma.
Good luck with your